Hey there everyone, welcome aboard to this IELTS speaking masterclass. In this course, we're going to teach you exactly how to get a band 7 or higher on your speaking exam. Guys, I'm very excited that you've decided to join us in this journey, and I guarantee you that by the end of this course, you're going to know exactly how to answer all the different parts of the speaking module. Let me start off by first giving you an overview of what you can expect in this course. So what we've got over here is a map. And here is our ship. You, my friend, are a passenger in this ship, and you're trying to get to the other side to this flag right here, or your goal of getting a band 7 or higher on your speaking exam. And we're going to be taking this beautiful journey to get you there. We're going to start off this journey by first talking about the fundamentals. This is going to lay the groundwork for the rest of our course. This is where we're going to be talking about the basics of the IELTS speaking section. So once you understand the basics and these fundamentals, then we're going to build upon that knowledge and teach you step by step how to get a high band. After the fundamentals, I'm going to show you exactly how this course is structured, just to set the expectations so that you have a better understanding of how this course is going to progress and what you're going to be learning in the different parts of this course. Next, I'm going to show you how to get a high score, some of the things that top performing students do and things that you should be doing as well. I'm then going to show you how to be fluent and coherent in your speaking so that you sound natural and your ideas smoothly flow from one to the next. After that, we're going to look at vocabulary. I'm going to show you how to use vocabulary and how to learn vocabulary as well. After that, we're going to cover some fundamentals of grammar. Now, I want to point out here that this is not a grammar course. The majority of this course is focused on the strategy for getting a high band on your speaking section. So this course is focused more on strategies, but still I wanted to cover grammar briefly because it's still going to determine your score. So 25% of your grade is based on grammar, so we're going to be looking at some of the most important elements of grammar. Next, I'm going to show you how to pronounce words correctly. I'm also going to show you some of the most commonly mispronounced words and some of the most commonly mispronounced sounds. And I'm going to show you how to use pronunciation correctly to ensure a high band. Now, once we're done with all of this, then we're going to be moving into the recipe of our course, the strategies. So this is where I'm going to show you how to answer part 1 of the speaking section. I'm going to take you through the strategies step by step and make sure that you fully understand the different strategies involved. Next, I'm going to show you the strategies for answering part 2 of the speaking section and then how to answer part 3. Then, once we're finished with the strategy, I'm going to show you real exam practice questions, and I'm going to show you live examples of students answering different practice questions so that you can have a better understanding of what an answer that gets a low band looks like and what an answer that gets a high band looks like. And you'll be able to compare these different examples, these examples that come from real exam practice questions. Finally, I'm going to leave you with some final tips for your success, and then we're going to wrap up this course. So I'm super excited that you've decided to take this journey with us. I've got a lot of wonderful things to show you in this course, but before we move forward, I want to make a quick little note. If you've taken any of our other courses, then the content that follows in this video is going to be familiar to you. In the remainder of this video, I'm going to tell you about who I am so that you can learn a little bit more about your instructor. I'll talk about my experience, and then I'll talk about what the IELTS exam is, how it's broken up, and so on. So these are things that I've already covered in my other courses as well. So if you've taken any of our other courses, then you don't really need to watch the remainder of this video because the content will be familiar to you. But if you're new, then stick around and make sure to watch this video till the end. So let's get moving. I want to first start off by telling you a little bit about myself. So that's me right there, and my name is Shay. In this course, I'm going to be your IELTS instructor and also the captain of our ship. This ship that is going to be sailing to take this journey of getting you a band 7 or higher on your IELTS exam. And there's my hat to make this official. So far, I've had over 8 years of IELTS teaching experience. I first started back in 2010, and I'm continuing to expand upon that experience even to this day. Now, in the beginning of 2015, I acquired my CELTA English Teaching Certification. Prior to that, I already had experience in teaching English, and I had done my degree in Communication and Language from Humboldt State University here in California. So far, I've taught in 11 countries around the world. I've taught students in person, face-to-face in classrooms, and I've also taught students online via Skype, WeChat, and CC Talk. I've helped many students to score a band 7 or higher on their IELTS exam, and my mission in this course is to do the same for you. I want you to get a band 7 or higher on your speaking exam. So I've helped many students to get this high score so that they can work and study in the English-speaking country of their choice, and I would like you to take a moment of your time and check out some of the testimonials at our website at this link. Now, if at any point you have any questions about the course, you can easily contact me directly at this email address. Alright, so enough about me. Now let's talk about what is the IELTS. So IELTS, as you should know by now, is a test of your English proficiency. Basically, it's a way of showing to the other person, to your employer or your university, what is your level of English. So let's look at what it stands for. This right here is an acronym, and what it stands for is International English Language Testing System. A very fancy way of just saying an English exam. Now, there are two main types of IELTS. The first type is the academic IELTS, and this IELTS is used by colleges and universities. Most of the time, it's used for academic purposes, such as if you want to study in an English-speaking country. So most of the times, if you want to study in an English-speaking country, you will probably have to take the academic exam. But this is not always the case. In some cases, you may have to take the other type of IELTS, which is the general IELTS. Now, most of the times, general IELTS is an exam that is taken by people who want to work in an English-speaking country. So it is mainly used by employers, and it is also used for immigration purposes, such as if you want to get a visa to an English-speaking country. However, sometimes some universities will also accept the general IELTS exam. So what you need to do is you have to find out which IELTS test you need before you take it, because this is a paid exam. You will have to pay money for it. So make sure that you know exactly which IELTS you have to take beforehand. And the way that you can do that is simply reach out to the university at which you want to study in the English-speaking country of your choice and contact them and say, hey, I want to study in your university. What IELTS score do I need in order to qualify? And also, which IELTS exam do I need to take? So they're going to give you those two pieces of information. They'll tell you exactly which IELTS you need to take and what score you need in order to qualify. And the same goes for the employers. If you want to work in the English-speaking country, then simply reach out to the employer in that English-speaking country and ask them, hey, which IELTS do I need to take in order to work for you, and what score should I get? So once you do that, you'll know exactly which IELTS you need and what score you need. Now, most of the times, if you get a band 7 or higher, that's considered a pretty good score. So that is going to be acceptable in almost all cases, okay? So that's our goal over here. Our goal is to get you a band 7 or higher on your speaking exam. Now, let's talk about who makes the IELTS. I know we don't really care about that a lot over here. We're just focused on getting a band 7 or higher, but I just want to briefly give you this information because it is a little bit important. So, IELTS is jointly owned by 3 separate agencies. These are the IDP Education, the British Council, and Cambridge English Language Assessment. So these 3 agencies together own the IELTS exam. Alright, now this is why I wanted to talk about who makes the IELTS. Over here, we've got books by Cambridge English. So these are books on the IELTS exam and they contain authentic exam papers. They contain authentic questions from the IELTS exam and they are going to be a very powerful resource for you to train and for you to prepare for your IELTS exam. So the reason why I wanted to talk about who makes the IELTS is because I wanted to point out to you that Cambridge English is one of the agencies that actually creates your IELTS exams. So, of course, it makes sense then to study from a book, to prepare from a book that is produced by Cambridge English. So that's why I wanted to point this out. Make sure to get these books by Cambridge English because they're going to be a powerful tool for you to prepare for this exam. They are some of the best books out there on this subject because they contain authentic exam papers. So, for this reason, what I'm going to do is when I talk about practice questions, when I'm answering practice questions for you in these video lessons, I'm going to be taking those practice questions straight out of the Cambridge English books. Because it doesn't get more authentic than this. These are real exam questions. Now, another reason why I urge that you purchase these books is because IELTS is a paper-based test. Now, it is true that in some places, IELTS is starting to become available as a computer-based test. In some places, you can take it as a computer-based test. But right now, most of the IELTS exams are paper-based. So it makes sense then to get these books and to practice on paper. Now, of course, in this course, we're focused on the speaking section, so you don't have to worry about paper-based or computer-based, okay? So in the IELTS speaking section, you're going to be talking to another human being, to the examiners. So this part right here doesn't really apply for the speaking module, but it does apply for other modules such as the writing, reading, and listening modules. Okay, now let's talk about how can you take the IELTS. So first of all, you'll need to register for this exam. So simply follow this link and it will take you step by step to booking an exam in your area. For the IELTS, regular testing dates are available each month, so it really shouldn't be too difficult for you to find a time that works for you, since exams are offered every month. Now keep in mind that for certain regions, for certain testing centers, you will have to register 2 weeks ahead of time, okay? And this is a good idea anyways. You don't want to rush this. When you go into your exam, you want to be relaxed. You want to be ready to take the exam. So avoid anything that makes you rushed or stressed and leave yourself enough time. Leave yourself at least 2 weeks before you take the exam and apply in advance. Now, when you are registering for this IELTS exam, you will have to select the time, the date, and the location. Once you do that, you will have to fill out the remainder of the application, just other details about your name and address and so on, and then you will have to pay the fee for taking this exam. At the moment, it currently costs $200 or 190 euros to take this exam, and this fee can vary depending on the region. So as you can see, this is a bit of an expensive exam. It does cost a good amount of money, so you want to make sure that you pass it the first time around. I don't want you to take the exam, not get the grade you want, and then have to retake the test, as so many students do. I don't want you to make that mistake. I want you to get it right the first time around, okay? So that's going to be the goal of this course. I'm going to prepare you fully and completely so that you can get a high band in just the first sitting. Now, the last thing that you'll need to do is you'll need to provide a copy of your passport. Great. Now, let's talk about the exam overview. IELTS is an exam that is going to take you 2 hours and 45 minutes to finish. Now, there's going to be 4 separate parts in this exam, also known as 4 modules of the IELTS exam. It doesn't matter if you're taking the academic test or the general test, there are going to be the same 4 parts. They're going to be a little bit different in the content depending on whether you take academic or general IELTS, but essentially these are the 4 parts: reading, listening, writing, and speaking. So depending on whether you're taking the general or the academic test, the reading and the writing sections are going to be a little bit different, but the speaking and the listening remain the same. Now, this exam is divided into 2 major sections. Let's take a look. The first part is the paper exam. So in the paper exam, or sometimes computer-based exam, but most of the times paper exam, this part is going to include listening, reading, and writing. And these are 3 modules that must all be finished in one single session. So that means that you have to sit down and take all 3 of these different modules in one sitting. You're not going to have any breaks in between. There's no bathroom breaks, there's no toilet breaks, there's no lunch breaks, nothing. You have to sit for one long sitting and finish these 3 modules. Now, the next part is the speaking exam, and this part only includes the speaking test. And this is a test that you can schedule separately on some other day. So you can take it at the end of the paper exam if you're feeling up for it, but if you're feeling tired, you feel like you probably won't be able to take it at the end of the paper exam, then you can simply schedule it on some other day. Finally, an important point. Keep in mind, this is an English test. A lot of my students say that they're not sure if they're going to be able to get a good score on the IELTS exam because in the IELTS exam, you have so many different topics and students feel that they don't have any background information on these topics. Well, here's the thing. You do not need any specialized background knowledge. So when you get any question on the writing section or the reading section, then you don't really need any specialized background knowledge. All the answers are right there. They are written in the English language, and as long as you can understand English, you're going to do well on the test. And the same thing goes for speaking and listening. You don't need any specialized background knowledge. As long as you can understand English and express your opinions, you'll get a great band. Now, I've mentioned this once before, there are no breaks in between, so that means that you should work on developing your stamina. How do you develop your stamina? Well, you have to sit down and take these full-length practice tests. Especially if you're preparing for the reading, writing, and listening, make sure to sit down and prepare for these full-length practice tests. If you're doing it for speaking, then you don't have to develop your stamina so much because you can schedule it on a separate day. Now, if you are taking the paper-based exam, and you probably will be, then make sure that your handwriting is legible, that your spelling is correct, because when you're writing by hand, then handwriting becomes very important. If the examiner cannot read what you are writing, you're going to lose points. If your spelling is incorrect, you're going to lose points. Remember, even if your answer is correct, but you have spelled it wrong, such as in the reading exam or the listening exam, then even though your answers are correct, you will not get points for those answers because you spelled them wrong. Okay, so spelling is very important. In the speaking section though, spelling is not important because you're not writing, but your pronunciation becomes important. Your knowledge of the words become important. Now for the reading and the listening sections, there is no penalty for wrong answers. So it's always good to guess when you don't know the answer because you're not going to be penalized for wrong answers. So it's better to guess, always guess when you don't know the answer. Now let me break down the different sections along with the timing. Alright, so the first part that you're going to be answering is going to be the listening part. In the listening part, you're going to have 4 sections and a total of 40 items or 40 questions. You're going to have a total of 30 minutes to answer these 40 questions. The next part is going to be the reading part, in which you're going to have 3 sections and 40 questions, and you have to finish them in 60 minutes. Next, you'll have the writing section. You're going to have 2 tasks, and you'll have a total of 60 minutes to write these 2 essays. And finally, the speaking part, for which you're going to have a total of 11 to 14 minutes and a total of 3 parts. So the total test time comes out to 2 hours and 44 minutes. So remember, for these 3 parts right here, you have to finish them all, you have to answer them all in one single session, in one sitting. But the speaking part can be scheduled separately. Okay, so that concludes this video. In the next video lesson, we're going to talk about the fundamentals of IELTS speaking.